across Texas. The issue is.
I'm Greg Groogan in Houston.
I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin, and this is Texas, The Issue Is.
We are now 92 days from a presidential election, the outcome of which both sides claim will substantially alter the course of American history. That said, Democrats are stoked about their improved prospect of holding the White House. I sat down with Houston Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher to talk about Kamala Harris and some key issues.
And I do think that women can and must make the difference in this election because the stakes are too high for us to do anything else.
Texas Democratic Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher making the case for a massive election-cinching surge of support for her party's presumptive nominee, Kamala Harris.
Women should be turning out in droves for Vice President Harris because what we have seen from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is antipathy towards American women. We see that in their policy positions. We see that reflected in states like ours, where in Texas, the vast majority of Texans don't agree with the extreme laws that have been passed that are subjugating women. You know, we talk, and I've heard a lot of people say, our daughters are going to have fewer rights than we do. The truth is, we already have fewer rights than we have had. Our rights as women in Texas are being rolled back. Our ability to make our own decisions about our own bodies, decisions for our families, for our futures, those rights are being taken away.
Fletcher and fellow Democrats looking to paint a troubling portrait of the former president's plans.
So I think that what we're going to see in this campaign is an incredible contrast between an accomplished prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and vice president of the United States who has a vision for the future and is ready to lead the country forward. So I'm excited to support her. I'm also deeply concerned about what we see coming from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, his vice presidential pick, and the vision that they have, which is reflected in Project 2025. For folks who haven't read it, it is required reading to then see what they envision, which essentially eviscerates our government, centralizes power in the office of the president, removes checks and balances, and does things that we know most Americans do not want to see, like banning abortion nationwide.
For the record, the former president has said he has nothing to do with Project 2025, calling Democratic attempts at linkage disinformation and labeling elements of the proposal ridiculous and abysmal. Fletcher and Democrats are also claiming Mr. Trump plans to target Social Security.
And what you hear from the Trump side is, we're just going to get rid of Social Security, right? We're going to change it. We're going to make these fundamental changes. We're not going to protect these things. We're going to privatize things.
For the record, while a handful of Republicans have suggested privatization or increasing the eligibility age, the former president has said repeatedly he intends to preserve and strengthen entitlements like Social Security and Medicare. On the nagging issue of border security, Congresswoman Fletcher blamed Trump and fellow Republicans for perpetuating the problem when a partial solution was at hand.
We had a bipartisan deal for Congress to address it, and President Trump said, don't do that. Don't solve the problem.
While Trump's opposition to the failed compromise is a matter of record, it bears mentioning congressional Democrats generated no significant measure to reinforce border security during the first 3 years of the Biden presidency. As for the overarching issue of which team better protects American democracy, Fletcher contends her candidate should be the clear choice.
It is about protecting our country, our citizens, our freedoms, making sure that the United States is a place where everyone can not just get by, but get ahead, and building a team and a policy around helping every single American and helping us realize our founding vision.
Okay, guys, in choosing a one-word description, I was torn between glorify and vilify won out. Stephen, what's your word?
Well, I was choosing between honeymoon and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm won out.
Okay. Rudy, lay it on me.
Well, I was considering the word that the New York Post came up with the other day. It was playing on the word of camouflage with Kamala-flage, but I think I'll just go with transformer.
All right, then, the Fox Texas Trio will be right back on the other side of this break. Welcome back. Democrats here and across the country pretty pumped about Kamala Harris at the top of their ticket, and clearly spring-loaded to proclaim the potential return of Donald Trump as the beginning of the end for American democracy. Rudy, Congresswoman Fletcher clearly looking to round up lots of votes from American women who see Kamala Harris as a leader who will reclaim and preserve their reproductive rights.
Yeah, Greg, clearly the Democrats are trying to use the abortion issue the way that they successfully did in the previous election cycles. It rallied women to their ticket, and the exit polling clearly showed that was a big reason that predicted red tsunamis. Remember that? Went splat. The problem is Democrats are being accused of hurting women themselves on another big issue that will impact daily life. As of Thursday, the Biden-Harris rewrite of Title IX took effect, and it has a lot of people very, very upset. The administration is dictating to states that they now must recognize a person's gender identity over that individual's biology. Only a few states like Texas have successfully challenged this rewrite and put it on hold, but you know, the issue came up during the Olympics, and with school starting up a few weeks from now, this could be a bigger ballot box issue by November than abortion, maybe. It'll be interesting to see all the dueling campaign ads targeting women over the next several weeks, right, Greg?
Absolutely. Okay, fellas, Congresswoman Fletcher and lots of other Democrats are clearly working from a unified script and doing their darndest to link Donald Trump to Project 2025. What do you make of the strategy, Stephen? Can they make it stick when Trump says he wants nothing to do with it?
Well, I think they're riding a wave right now. Democrats are riding a wave, regardless of your politics. That's what's happening right now. The RNC had a convention, and we haven't even talked about it, really, because we're in a time that has never happened before, right? Kamala Harris is the presumptive nominee now. She got enough online votes that DNC said as of Friday, and they're riding a wave. But that honeymoon, that's why I was originally going to say honeymoon, will only last for so long, and then we're going to get back into the substance. That does not mean the Kamala Harris camp and their strategy so far of trying to pin Project 2025 or anything else to the former president won't stick. It's just right now, this is the energy and the enthusiasm. In about a month or two, we're going to get into more policy actions.
All right, Rudy, Democrats have been working overtime to rehabilitate the vice president's image on immigration, denying she was ever named border czar and continuing the claim that former president intentionally killed a bipartisan fix. You think swing voters are buying it?
Greg, you know, it's like watching a high-dollar LA PR firm trying to rehabilitate the toxic image of a big corporation that, you know, just caused a nationwide outbreak of inflammatory bowel syndrome. That's why my word for this interview is transformer. A couple of reasons for that word, but this is not another Autobots versus Decepticon movie sequel. The Harris political remake has big issues, very big issues with swing state voters. It goes beyond hot political potato issues like transgender, gender identity policies, the border crisis and crime linked to illegal immigrants. That still ranks really high with independent voters. And the high prices that people are paying at the store and at the gas pump, those are big issues for swing state voters as well as everyone else. Harris has a big list of bad policies, not just with her time during the Biden administration. You know, she's had a hard left voting record in the Senate and has some really questionable actions while she was serving in California. Selling voters the idea that the primary vote earlier this year really didn't matter and democracy is still safe with them may be the easier part of the PR transformer spin this summer. Greg?
All right, Stephen. Congresswoman Fletcher is pretty realistic about Kamala Harris's chances here in Texas, but she does think the vice president can boost Colin Allred's upset bid of Senator Ted Cruz in a race that pollsters say is relatively close. Real quickly, does it help Allred that Kamala's at the top of the ticket?
I think it remains to be seen. This is still too early to see how she will truly impact states. And definitely, Texas is ruby red, and so Allred's going to have to make a lane for himself outside of Harris or whoever's on the top of the ticket.
All right, that's all the time we have. You can watch this interview on our station's YouTube pages.
And you can also visit our social media sites to continue the conversation.
The Fox Texas Trail will be back same time, same place next week with another hot button issue. We are less than 100 days until the November election, plus all that local news. Remember to let us know what you think the issue is.